Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I am back with part 5 of What If Deku Had a Healing Quirk. I actually low-key had to think about it for a second because I have two series going on at the relative same time. But with that said, I don't have that much to do in this series left, or we're coming to a close for sure. Probably we'll close up in either the next part or so, probably either part 6 or part 7. It will be over. But yeah, there's really not much for me to say. I hope y'all have been enjoying the what ifs. I know I haven't done a Tundra what if in a while, so I'll be doing that. I don't know why I keep forgetting to do a Tundra what if, but I had to come up with something that will be cool. But still, I haven't gotten around to it, but I will get around to it. That's a promise. And yeah, that's about it. I'm not going to waste that much more of your time, and we're going to get into exactly where we left off with What If Deku Had a Healing Quirk. Let's get it. The forest training camp was an idea that was supposed to go smoothly, bringing UA's finest students to grow in strength, power, and hopefully begin to train at higher heights. But this was not the case. This forest training camp would go real wrong and real fast, because when they would arrive, they would begin their training just like normal. Everything seemed fine, but there was a target on one of the students' backs. Izuku Midoriya was wanted. The villains of the League of Villains wanted him badly, and frankly, there was a multitude of reasons for this. Izuku had a power that the villains wanted so desperately in One for All, but on top of that, had a power that was unimaginable. His healing quirk could allow them to do things that nobody would possibly believe to be true. All for One could be healthy once again. That's all it would take. Izuku had no idea what was truly coming. All for One would send the League of Villains because all he knew was that this kid needed to be captured. A siege on this forest would be upon them, and when they would get invaded, Izuku would try and help as much as possible, even saving the young boy by the name of Koda, using a high amount of One for All, or a high amount of One for All full calling. On top of his healing quirk, he was able to maintain for a long bit of time. But the main issue would come right after, because a sneak attack would happen and Izuku would be grabbed and put in some sort of marble. This marble would put him away, and he would be stuck, unable to escape. He would struggle and try his best to leave, to get out of there, but he just couldn't. He just couldn't at all. There was no way for him to truly leave, truly get out of there, and he knew this to be true. There was truly nothing that could be done in the grand scheme of things. Izuku would be scared in a way, fearful, not for his own life, but for whatever they're going to do, they must have a plan to do so. Because there must be a reason why he was captured. They wouldn't just capture him for no adequate reason. There has to be a large plan in place. Izuku would be allowed out of that marble, but strapped down to a chair with some stolen bracers that would cancel out quirks. Izuku would look around, and he would see that nobody is even watching him at the moment. He tries to break free and do anything he can, but nothing's really working. Izuku's trapped, stuck there. And just as he comes to that conclusion, the villains begin to walk into the room, telling Izuku that there is no way out. There is no escape. He can't use his quirk, and on top of that, there is no beating them at this moment. So he's going to have to listen or die. Of course, Izuku doesn't necessarily want to die, but he begins to kind of just hear out what they have to say. They begin to speak about his quirk, about what he can do, and more. But the question is do they know that he has One for All? Or what do they have him for? But they reveal that they're talking about his quirk that can suddenly bring people back from the dead, heal them, make them stronger than they've ever been before. Izuku believes that maybe they don't know about him having one for all, and that would be the case, but he would sit there and he would listen as they banter on and on and on about nonsense. They begin to then say that Izuku doesn't have a choice here. He's going to have to heal all for one. Izuku hears this, and it's as if an alarm would go off in his head and begin to scream. He can't do that. If he does that, who knows what will happen. All for One has been injured. That fight that he went out All Might with injured him so greatly. It's the same thing with All Might. All Might got injured so greatly. If he heals All for One, they lose their advantage. They lose everything so quickly. Just at a drop of a pen, they would lose everything. Izuku says no, he won't do that, and that they won't kill him either because they need him. There's no threat that they can make, nothing they can do that would force Izuku into that situation, would force Izuku to heal All for One. He sits there stern, making it known that he will not do anything to their bidding. And they say that's unfortunate. That it's really, really unfortunate. Because, frankly, they weren't going to kill him. They're just going to torture him until he's just a sack of potatoes. But he'll live. He'll be alive. And it'll all start finger by finger. Izuku would sit there as Shigaraki would walk forward toward him, and Izuku would shake his head. He would tell Shigaraki not to dare touch him, that or else some real bad things are going to happen to him. Shigaraki smirks and kind of laughs at this. Izuku is definitely not in a good position. Definitely not. What is he supposed to do? There's very little he can do. Shigaraki goes to grab a finger and tells him that he can stop right now, but it's all up to him. And of course, Izuku doesn't flinch. He tells Shigaraki that he won't help them, that he will not heal All for One, he will not give them an upper hand. Of course, Shigaraki laughs and says that's very ironic, as he melts, absolutely disintegrates one of Izuku's fingers, and Izuku would scream in pain. And Shigaraki says that it's going to get worse and worse as they go on, and asks what he wants next. Another finger? Maybe this time around a toe? Maybe his ear? Maybe one of his eyes? Shigaraki would point at each thing as he begins to speak about it, and he would tell Izuku that there is no way out of this. There is nobody coming to save him. There is nothing he can do. Of course, Izuku would sit there and want to take the pain. He will not do his bidding. And then there goes another finger. Izuku would lose another one. And then there goes a toe. And maybe even an ear. Izuku would begin to lose more and more as the pain would become worse and worse. All he can think about is someone saving him. All he can think about is someone getting there just in time, save him, and then he could heal up. Can he grow back limbs? He doesn't know. But at least the pain will stop, right? It's all he's thinking about, all he's waiting for. But the pain would continue. One after another, Izuku would be screaming in agony. But then after a torture-filled hour of waiting, a knock at the door. Pizza delivery. Weird. Who ordered pizza? The League of Villains would be confused, but just as they are, heroes would come blasting through the wall to save Izuku. Just in time, right? Izuku would see all of them and he would be happy. He would. There would be definitely joy on his face, but he's already gone through so much pain. He's drained, tired. But just as he watches all this happen, the heroes basically knock out all the villains in front of him, and the Izuku is broken from his, chains in a way. the limited or the quirk limiters that would more or less not allow him to use his quirk entirely have now been cut, and he begins to heal as much as possible. All of the pain and the suffering would slowly go away, but all those, well, fingers, that ear, and more you could possibly believe that is gone and that got injured is staying that way. He's not growing it back, and there could be a lot of reasons for this. His quirk not being strong enough. Also could be it's a long process for him to get to the point where he can basically allow all those appendages and stuff like that to more or less be healed back. And there could be even more reasons that we just don't know exactly. But many of the heroes that are there would look at Izuku and be terrified. In a way, they did that to a kid. All of that. Many of the heroes there would question why. Why are they even leaving these people alive? This is a child. And they did all this. They tortured him to get the information, to get what they wanted. Tortured. And he didn't even give it up. What kind of willpower does this kid have to not give up information after being tortured? Izuku would be taken away as quick as possible, but just as he's about to be taken away and sent off to a good spot, he's actually engulfed by this weird portal, this goo that would send him off to a new area. All Might would see this and yell no as Izuku would fall through that said portal, and All Might would immediately begin searching for him, but Izuku would appear right in front of the man that they wanted him to heal. All for One. All for One would grab him by the neck, and he would threaten to just take the quirk, use it for himself, but there's a reason why he's not. We all know All for One is extremely hurt, injured, and not in the best position himself. So is this a blatant threat? To an extent, it is. They knew that Izuku couldn't just, or that All for One wouldn't be able to just take his quirk willy-nilly, especially not being at peak performance, especially dealing with everything he's dealing with now. He has so many quirks under his disposal, and on top of that, he's injured to a certain extent. So how is he supposed to, well, take a quirk as strong as his? They don't know it's boosted by One for All or anything like that, but it's a powerful quirk nonetheless, something that could do the opposite of what they want it to do. It could tear his body apart instead of healing it. Yes, this threat may be empty, but Izuku doesn't know it's empty. Izuku looks at him thinking that it's all over. That it's over here. Everything is done, and he's not making a deal with the devil. He's not making a deal with a villain. So he sits there and says to take his quirk then. End his life. Whatever he sees fit. Izuku being very, very sturdy in this moment, but just behind that look of Izuku, there's a crying boy. A boy that is terrified, hoping that All Might would come save him. And All Might does. All Might would come in like a torpedo, like a man on a mission, punching All for One in the face so hard he goes crashing into the ground. All Might would grab him and slam him once again into the ground over and over and over again. All Might, someone that is far stronger than he was before. Maybe not at peak performance in terms of when he had One for All, but he's strong, healed up by Izuku. His strength is definitely overwhelming All for One, but All Might is having a different version of a mindset at this moment. All Might is infuriated. All Might just saw his protege ripped to pieces. Just saw his protege refuse to crack under the pressure of being tortured. All for One was the reason why this happened, and All Might doesn't want it to happen ever again. All Might continues to pile drive All for One over and over again, and All for One would taunt him, basically saying that there's nothing he could do, it's all over now. What is he gonna do, send him to prison? That's nothing. There's nothing All Might can do. As everyone watches on, as All Might seems to have All For One defeated, and All For One stands up one last time for a final fight, to use all the quirks he has and try and put down All Might, someone that may be weaker than they last fought, but at the same time, still extremely powerful. He's utilizing something that All Might has never utilized before, and that's pure hatred, pure want to end someone's life. All Might begins to think about Nana Shimura, begins to think about his own master, and he almost watched his protege die. All that rage would build up, and the cameras would see something that they've never seen before. All Might would send his hand through All For One's chest like a torpedo, like a cannonball, and All For One would gasp for air. All For One would slowly but surely see his life flash before his eyes. This was not in his calculations. This was not something he foresaw. All Might killing him? That is something he would never have thought of. All For One tries to hang on with whatever quirk he can, trying to engulf himself in some sort of liquid like a portal to get him out of there, but it didn't work. Portal would stop, and All For One would have his body dropped on the ground, lifeless. All Might has been pushed to the edge, and All Might just did something that many heroes and many people would deem criminal: taking someone's life. Izuku would be out of commission, on the ground, out cold, unable to know what just occurred, but All Might would pick him up and take him off to a hospital, somewhere where Izuku can recover and get better. What will happen to All Might? What will happen to the fact that he, All Might himself, just killed All For One? What does this mean for Izuku Midoriya and his future as a hero? Well, you'll have to find out in the next part of What If Deku Had a Healing Quirk. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, and make sure to leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope y'all enjoyed or are enjoying this series, and I hope y'all continue to enjoy. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.